Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my glass studio. I've had some students and followers ask me, what can I do with my grandchildren? What can I do with my kids in the studio? You have any ideas? Well, of course I have ideas. I have a lot of ideas. Really, all you have to do is bring the child into the studio, and you will be inundated with a huge number of ideas because the kids are just so excited to be working with glass. They love doing anything crafty. They love doing anything with their hands. And if you let them touch glass, you are the most awesome person in the world. So I was out here one time with not too long ago, with my almost 3-year-old granddaughter. And I put her on a little step stool next to the table here. I gave her a pair of safety glasses. And she knows to wear them when she's working with glass. And we just played. So what I did was I took out some materials that are not sharp, materials that are easy for her to work with, easy for her to pick up with her fingers, and then I cut some blanks for her. These are just little circles, little 3.5-inch circles of glass, like gray and white, and I cut these and I just let her have fun. So the setup is have some materials these are fired, so they're softer, they don't really have sharp edges. These are little pieces I just put in the kiln and fired over mold. These were fired over pieces of chalk. I have that in a previous video. These are little beads. I showed in another video how to make little dots. These are little eyeballs I made for some projects, some fish and different things I was working on. So I pour these in these containers so they're easy to access. These are little pieces of dichroic, and who doesn't love this fun shape and all those wonderful colors? And these aren't really sharp either, so she can handle those without worrying about getting cut. So she's on a little step stool here, put the safety glasses on, put these materials in front of her. This is liquid hairspray in a little bottle with an applicator tip. And most of the time you hear me say, use the smallest amount of glue possible. I didn't hinder her. I didn't want to be that person making all these rules and taking the fun out of it. So I just let her glue like crazy. So I cut these little blanks, and she just put little pieces on there, whatever she wanted to do. And then she would drip the glue on top, even on the dichroic. I didn't even fuss about that. And guess what? Her little pieces came out great. The glue didn't change any colors. It didn't interrupt the dichroic. They came out wonderful and so cute. And she had such a good time doing it. So just put the child, up at the table with these kinds of materials and let them go at it. If they are a little bit older, you could cut strips of glass and you can give them some mosaic nippers, and they can just nip the pieces and then work with those. Now these might be a little sharper, so you just want to warn them about, touching the corners. Try not to touch the corners. So they don't even have to cut them. They could use these little strips and then just cut, pieces like that and put stuff together. I had a little boy here one time. He made a dinosaur, a little rawr dinosaur, and he used his own imagination, and he used some sticks like this, and he made this fabulous looking dinosaur. So the kids have all the imagination necessary to do it. All you need is put the materials in front of them and stand by and make sure they're safe. Now, I will warn you though, if you put materials like this out, all these little pieces of twisted cane, which are fun to work with, and you leave them, turn your back for a second with the glue, this is what's going to happen. She glued everything into the bottom of the container. Look at this. It's glued as one big mass of glass. Now maybe we stick that in the kiln and fire it. I think what I would probably, and actually if you look at the bottom, you can see how much glue is in there. It's all like, kind of a gray tone. So anyway, they're going to do that. They're going to glue everything. But that's okay. So all I really need is put some water in here, and I think all that'll come clean. And then water, and then maybe pour it over a piece of paper towel or something. So get out there with them. Put some materials in front of them. And what'll happen is, after you get started, you'll come up with other new ideas. They'll sort of guide you and lead you in directions that they want to go, and they'll talk about different materials in your studio. And then what you can do is potentially take some different shapes and sizes and fire them so they're not sharp anymore. That's what I did with pieces like this. They're just fire little, chunks of glass so they're not sharp, and let them go at it. Let them have a good time with it. Now, if you're working with bigger pieces, you might want to take a sickle stone to the glass or grind it so it's not sharp. Depends, again, on the child, their dexterity, their age, what their interest is. But you can have a ton of fun out in your studio with some, kids working with glass. This is an experimental firing of taking a bunch of random scrap pieces and firing to a full fuse temperature to see what kind of shapes we get. I've done this before with smaller pieces, so I kind of know what the results would be there. I've never done it with so many big and random shaped pieces. So what we're trying to do is create some things that are safe for maybe some younger artists to use without worrying about them getting cut, and things that, random shapes that would inspire them to create some abstract shapes and designs. So that's kind of what we have going on here. So we're going to fire this to a full fuse, and hopefully we'll get some stuff that inspires some creativity. So I'll go ahead and close the kiln, fire this up, and come back and see what we have after it's been fired. Let's see what happened inside this kiln with these experimental pieces. So Nikki laid out just a whole bunch of random shapes from the bottom of the scrap bin on a shelf. We fired these to a full fuse temperature. We have some pretty cool shapes. I like this one. That's a solid red. I like this one, the jewel toned red. That was probably an orange, actually. Some of these others are just kind of weird, like this one. I don't know what to do with that. And it's a little, the whole idea was to make these so they were not sharp, so that little hands could work with these without risking getting poked, because they don't really have the experience yet to realize, you say, oh, something's sharp, sure, but they don't really realize what sharp means until there's a little bit of blood on the table. We're trying to avoid that because we want to make sure this is a fun and enjoyable and enriching experience. This is kind of a fun little piece. I actually think I could just use the sickle stone on the back of these, and then they would be fine to handle. We've got some fun shapes here, a nice little teal piece. There's a little bit of roughness on the back, but yeah, sickle stone will take care of that. And like even this one here, it's not really even sharp, so that's great. So we can go ahead and use those. So I'm looking forward to, kind of seeing what they might want to put together with these, how they might want to combine them, and what kind of designs might evolve from these interesting shapes. So your setup is basically collect the materials, put them out on the table, cut some blanks, grind them so they're not sharp, and then go to it. Have glue and maybe nippers on hand. Maybe you do the nipping for the child depending upon the age. But again, you can have so much fun. So my granddaughter took her pieces home. So I'm going to show them to you in photos, and you'll get to see how adorable they are and how wonderful they came out. We're calling them mini monsters. And, maybe they'll inspire some ideas for you, but I guarantee you won't need them because those children are just so thrilled to be working with you and working with glass. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this little inspirational video on what you might be able to do out your studio. And you know what? You can even make these little pieces yourself. They're so much fun. And then just throw that filter, throw that editor in your mind of what art is supposed to look like. Throw it away. Just go out there and have fun. Thanks so much for joining me. Hope you love these little monsters. Hope you have little monsters in your future. Thank you for following. Please follow, like, subscribe, comment, all the above. We love it when you do that. Consider becoming a premium video member. We have new courses coming all the time, full-length courses on wonderful projects, and we have a full-size printable pattern ebook that comes along with it. So become a premium video member. So we have to cut this short because we got chainsaws coming. Always chainsaws around here. Anyway, until next time, happy fusing.